You worried about the future? I used to as well. Until I realized worrying doesn't do any good. Worrying doesn't secure a result. I think people worry about the future because they think that that's somehow taking responsibility for it. But worrying is actually most likely creating the opposite result. And worrying is not being responsible. Being responsible is taking the right actions that need to be taken. And the only way to do that is to act in the moment. Because there is only the moment. You can't just plan out the future by not worrying about what's happening right now. Because right now is how you control the future. It's actually makes me think of this really great quote from heavy metal band Hatebreed. And he says, "How can I change tomorrow if I can't change today?" I like how someone decided that this was a good place to park this rental bike. They're like, yeah, we'll just park it up in the corner of this castle on this rock. Perfect. People think that if you worry about the future, then you'll be able to create a certain result. Like, oh, I really have to work at this job because if I don't, this and this might happen. But really you're focusing on the negative. And what you're actually doing by worrying is you're telling the universe that you don't have faith that a good result is going to happen. You're essentially thinking that the worst result is going to happen, and that's why you're worrying about it. Because you're actually creating the opposite result of what you want. You're thinking, if I don't do this, this is going to happen. But instead, you should be thinking, if I do this now, hopefully this can happen. And what you want to actually do is replace the worry with faith. And faith is the most important too, because there is no guaranteed result. That's the thing. The only practical way to look towards the future is to look at it in a positive light and believe that if you do the right thing now, you'll actually be moving in the right direction. You'll actually be creating the future that you want. But even in doing so, you're not worried about the result. The only way to get away from that is to disconnect yourself from the result. Make the right moves and detach yourself from the result. I think people, they think that not worrying about the future is irresponsible. You know, And I think some people perceive the way that I live, for example, as irresponsible. They're like, well, don't you think about the future? Aren't you worried about it? Well, sure, I think about it. And sure, in the past, I've worried about it. But to me, the irresponsible thing is actually worrying about it. This spiritual teacher that I really like, he says something like, your energy flows where your attention goes. And he just puts it really eloquently, but this is essentially a common spiritual concept, is whatever you're thinking about, that's what you'll attract. Whatever you're focused on, that's what you're going to build, that's what you're going to grow. So if you're focused on the negative, that's what you're going to attract to yourself. Not to mention, you can only control what's happening right now. And if you're worrying about things that are maybe going to happen, then you're essentially wasting your energy. You're throwing it away into things that you can't control. So the actual responsible thing is to just make the actions right now, because that's all you can do. And if you're making the right actions, or at least you're doing what you think is right, you're doing the best to your ability to do the things that you think is going to be beneficial for the future, then there's no reason to worry about it, because you're already doing everything to give yourself the best chance at a good future. Worrying about it is only saying that you don't have faith in the future, and you don't have faith in yourself and your ability to create a positive future. There's a lot of doomsaying, and just like that statue, a lot of people are carrying heavy burdens that aren't necessary to carry. Like, I see many young people my age and younger, extremely worried about things like climate change, for example. Which you can argue all day that that's a reasonable thing to worry about. Maybe it is. But you have to realize too, every generation has had their doomsayers. Like the last generations, it was nuclear warfare, or before that it was cataclysms, or plagues. The end of the world is always around the corner to some people. But put it this way, even if that was true, even if, say, you knew, well, the world is going to be cooked up in 10 years, what benefit are you doing yourself by being depressed or being consumed by the angst? If you knew you only had 10 years, don't you think the best thing to do would be to use those 10 years as well as possible? To enjoy it as much as you possibly can? Because the truth is, the end of the world for all of us is coming eventually. Life is finite. So what enjoyment, what benefit are you giving yourself by worrying? Use the time that you have in the best way that you can. enjoy the life that you were given. That's actually the responsible way to approach life. Because, for example, me living the way I do, traveling, trying to experience life in the way that I want to, is actually me taking responsibility for the fact that I know that time is limited. And also the fact that nothing is guaranteed. The only guarantee is that you will die. And for me, I'd like to guarantee myself that I'm going to do the best I can with the time I have to enjoy it. And that's my future.